Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 1 o'clock. The proceedings of this meeting will be recorded and made available on the internet. Could we have the roll call, please?
Thank you. Mayor Clarkson, are you present?
I am.
Deputy Mayor Windover?
Present.
Councillor Armstrong?
Present.
Councillor Franzen?
Present.
Councillor Lambshead?
Present.
For staff, we have Donna Taggart, CAO Treasurer.
Present.
Barb Waldron, Director of Building and Planning, CVO.
Present.
Ann Ruth, Deputy Clerk.
Present.
Sarah Delamarter, Junior Planner.
Present.
Dylan Kosh, Director of Recreation and Facilities.
Present.
And on the road. And Bianca Joy Gisevic, Legislative Coordinator, Executive Assistant to the CAO. She's on there in the background. And Jesse Clark, Director of Corporate Services, Clerk, is present.
Thank you. We're going to do the land acknowledgement and moment of reflection. We respectfully acknowledge the Trent Lakes and Peterborough County are located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nation, which include Alderville, Beau Soleil, Curve Lake, Georgina Island, Hiawatha, Rama, and Scugog Island First Nations. Trent Lakes respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Now, on behalf of council, staff, and the residents of Trent Lakes, we would like to express our heartfelt condolences on the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and to our new King Charles III and the royal family, and thank Her Majesty for devoting her life to the service and the Commonwealth of people. It's been interesting in speaking to people in the last few days, how many people she has actually touched. So she will certainly be missed, and hopefully the young people have a sense of just what it is that she has brought to our lives. Now, we've also had a very pleasant experience in this last couple of weeks. I was unfortunate to miss it, but our congratulations go out to Logan Hill, Nick Ireland, or Nickers as he's sometimes known as, and Tyler Murphy. These are new fire recruits. We welcome them, and we know that they will bring certainly a sense of humor, but dedication to the municipality. Welcome, boys. Now, I'm going to remind council members of their obligation to declare any pecuniary interest they may have at this time or at any time during the future that comes to mind. We get a motion to approve the agenda, please. Deputy Mayor Windover, Councillor Armstrong, all in favor, and the motion is carried. We'll adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of September the 3rd and the statutory public meeting for September the 6th. Motion, please. Deputy Mayor Windover and Councillor Franzen, all in favor. Motion has carried. Committee boards, Economic Development Advisory Committee, September the 12th, and Library Board. Councillor Lambshead, Councillor Armstrong, all in favor. Motion is carried. Now, council with liaison reports from EDAC, PRCAC, or the Peterborough Service Board, Police Services Board, or the Library Board. Anybody want to comment on any of these? Seeing none. Statutory public meeting, none today. Business arising from a statutory meeting, obviously, would be done. Presentations, we will have a presentation from Stephanie McPherson, CEO, Trent Lakes Public Library regarding Canadian Library Month. Please unmute your audio and share your camera and make your presentation. You will have 20 minutes. Council will save their questions till the end, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good morning or good afternoon, Council. Today, I'd just like to take a minute to talk about the different library services and programs that are offered at the library. Next month is Canadian Library Month, and so it's time that we celebrate everything that we offer to the community. And so if we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So Trent Lakes is very fortunate to have 2 branches in our area, one located in the hamlet of Buckhorn and one up the 507 just off of Beaver Lake Road. And then we offer, the next slide. We offer different services at the library, including photocopying, printing, scanning, faxing, as well as computer access and Wi-Fi access. We do leave the Wi-Fi on all of the time, so even if the libraries are closed, you can still use the internet outside of the library. And then the next slide. We also help people become more familiar with their technology, including e-readers, laptops, cell phones, and tablets. We also help people learn how to use social media, email, the internet, as well as different word processing programs. And then the next slide, thanks. We have developed new programs at the library to help kids and adults learn more about technology and how to code. The library tries to be a leader in the field of new technology. We recently received a grant through Canada Post that allowed us to purchase a new Cricut machine. This allows us to make more crafts in-house and other projects on the larger scale, which helps us to include more members of our community in our programs. And the next slide. We're very proud of our yarn exchange program that we started here at Trent Lakes Library. We're continuing to promote this program as well. So if somebody needs yarn, they can come to the library and take some from our collection for free. And if they have extra yarn, they can drop it off for somebody else to use. We also have a collection of knitting needles that are available to lend. There are free patterns to make different items, as well as books available to borrow. The library encourages people to make items for local shelters or for the Trent Lakes Outreach Program. And the staff are happy to deliver these items to the local nonprofits. I know we just recently dropped off a bunch of cat blankets to the Laws Animal Shelter here. Next. We have, over the past few years, the library has been working on developing a collection to help challenge homophobia and transphobia. All of the staff have received inclusiveness training to ensure that we are aware of the challenges and needs of the LGBTQS+ community. We had a person who is transgender come in to discuss his struggles of growing up in a small town and being transgender. So we try our best to reach out and provide a safe space for everyone to feel included. The next slide, perfect. The library is happy to reintroduce our programs after being forced to pause them during the pandemic. We currently offer different programs to a wide range of age groups, including computer assistance, storytime and tween programs at Buckhorn, the youth group at Cavendish, and as well as take-home crafts at both branches. This year, we were happy to have the Trent Lakes Fire and Rescue join us for a well-attended program in July. We also offer assistance in finding the perfect book from our collection. And the Goodbye Room is now open 3 days a week. All right, and next, my favorite, statistics. All right, the next slide. So as you can see, our ebook circulation continues to climb over the past 5 years. We've been putting more money into this to get a better collection, and also it just is more popular. Ebooks and audiobooks are great for people of all ages. We find seniors in particular enjoy ebooks because it's not as heavy if they have arthritis, so they don't have to hold the book, and they can also make the font larger to meet their own needs. And audiobooks are included under this category as well. And so people who have lost their sight are still able to enjoy a book through by hearing. Our children's program attendance is thankfully climbing once again. During the pandemic, we were not able to offer in-library programs, but we've been able to resume that starting in July. To make up for not being able to have the in-library programs, we started offering take-home crafts, which has been very successful. so that if people cannot attend the program at the specific time, they can still take the activity home and do it at home and still learn. And that helps some of our numbers. And you can see it, we've actually already beat the 2018 number. All right, this is the circulation for our physical materials. So this includes DVDs, magazines, books in the library. We're starting to climb back, but we're a little bit lower than I had hoped. Part of that is because we were still offering only curbside pickup for the first 3 months of the year. And there have been difficulties with our distributor of getting new books into the library. Hopefully we've solved that problem and our circulation statistics will continue to grow, but at least it's on the right way up now. So what is your library worth to you? How much would you pay? How much would the community have to pay if they did not have the library? On the left-hand side of that chart there, you can see the number of times that something was circulated or programs were attended. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the value that people would have had to pay had they not had the library for free. So if you go to the next slide, if local residents had purchased everything that they had borrowed just between January and August of 2022, it would have cost them $412,489. But the total library budget from January to December is $291,000. So you can see that we are providing a very valuable service in the library. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, Peter.
It's not exactly a question, but a comment. I'd like to say that our library is both branches. The people are very friendly and very helpful, and we're lucky to have them. Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you to all of your whole team.
Well said, Peter. Councillor Armstrong?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Just a comment as well. I think it's pretty astonishing the reach that our libraries have. The total circulation of all materials is somewhere around 16,000 pieces, and we know we have a population, full-time population, about 5,000, and then almost probably another 9,000 in seasonal. So, and I know those are repeats, but I think it says that our residents are using the services of the library quite extensively, and I think that that's a credit to the programs you provide and the work that you've done.
Thank you.
You just do a great job, Stephanie. Keep it up.
Thank you.
It's a similar sentiment. You do a fantastic job. I never cease to go to that Cavendish Community Library there and find books that I've never read.
Does that mean you've never found a book you have read?
Thank you.
I just have one comment, Stephanie. It's really good news that the Wi-Fi is available 24 hours a day. We've just been traveling, and that was one of the things that was always a problem, trying to find out where the Wi-Fi is. Is that readily, and I should know this, but is this readily available information outside so that people know this, or how do people find this out?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we do try to promote it when people come in and ask, or if they call, we let them know. Occasionally I have put it in the newspaper, but I should do that more often. And I do promote it on social media on occasion to try to promote it as well.
Could a poster be placed in the doorway so when you're not open, if visitors were to go there, that
is an excellent idea, and we'll do that this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay.
And through you, Madam Mayor, if I may say one more thing, that the success of the library is much because of my team that we have here. We have amazing staff, Sue, Joanne, and Kim. They do great work, and they work very hard to make the library as great as it is.
Well, we concur. Okay, could we have a motion to accept
Yes.
this presentation? Okay, Deputy Mayor Windover and Councillor Lambshead, all in favor. Motion is carried. Now we have a presentation from Nancy Johnson, Director of Strategic Initiatives, McSweeney and Associates, regarding Trent Lakes Economic Development, Tourism and Recovery Final Draft Strategic Plan. Please unmute your audio, and you also will have 20 minutes. Please, Council, save your comments to the end of the presentation. Go ahead, please.
Can I share it?
I hear you, but no volume.
We need volume,
I have a presentation. Can I share it?
but we can't hear you.
We do have a presentation.
Yeah.
Unmuted.
It's very faint.
Can you hear me
We have the
now?
presentation on the screen, but we can't hear you.
I've got it on audio, so I don't know what the problem
Okay.
is.
Okay, yeah,
You're good now.
good.
Good now?
Yep.
I have, okay, great. Nothing changed. I have a presentation. Can I share it?
Absolutely.
Okay, how do I,
I think staff will move it for you, right? Jesse?
they don't have
We didn't
You don't
receive
have
it in advance, so
a, no. Would you like, I'll send it over to you?
Yeah, or I can make you the presenter if you're comfortable.
That'd be good. Perfect. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Can you see the?
Yep.
Okay, you're good?
Yep.
And you can see the whole thing, not the notes?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, great.
See the notes. Sorry, we can see your notes.
Okay,
Notes.
so then I have to. Hmm. Okay, hold on a second here. Sorry.
That's the next slide.
Let me try this again. See if I can do it this way. How's that? No? You can still see the notes?
Yeah, we can see not the full screen that you're wanting us to see.
Okay, that's weird. I think what I'll do is then.
If you have two screens, you may just want to share the
gonna
other.
This? Better?
Nope.
One screen? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council and staff. Yes, I am going to be doing a presentation on the draft Economic Development, Tourism and Recovery Strategic Plan. Just want to go over just a little bit of why why there is a strategic plan and why we do a strategic plan. It's about continuing to build on a strong foundation. It allows a municipality to be strategic with its resources, and it creates a positive community change through a stronger, diversified, and resilient economy, which is what you're trying to do. Just a very brief, what is economic development? And we did go over this in our working session, but it is a program and not a project. It's ongoing and fluid, and it's also a long-term investment. So just to go over the process, a little bit about how we got here and to the draft strategic plan. It was really based on a comprehensive understanding of the community, the economy, businesses, stakeholders, as well as all the collective aspirations. The process we followed, we started off with a document review, did a data analysis, created a situational analysis report that I hope everyone had a chance to read. We did a community tour, we did a number of consultations, a working session, and the completion is the Economic Development Strategic Plan. So with regards to research and consultations, we did do, as I said, a document review and a situational analysis. And the situational analysis gives you a really clear understanding of your community through the stats and data. When it came to the consultations, we did consultations with about 133 stakeholders. And we did that with one-on-one interviews, online survey, as well as working session. And out of that whole consultation and research that we did, we came up with a score. And that explains sort of its strengths, challenges, opportunities, aspirations, and results. It's really sort of a positive SWOT analysis. So that is all included within the Economic Development Strategic Plan. And basically where we are now is we've got your strategic plan and it's been provided to you. So to go over the outcomes, some of the key challenges that we found with Trent Lakes is you have a population that is growing, but it's small and it's aging. There's a lack of service lands for development, and the seasonality of Trent Lakes economy is a bit of a challenge. You also have a very large geographic area, as you all know, and most of it quite rural. So out of all of this information that we've collected, we have developed 4 goals, 8 objectives, and 38 actions. And this will take place over a 5-year period. So the first goal is to improve the commercial core of Buckhorn to better support residents and visitors. So why is commercial core important? It really creates a critical mass of activities where commercial, cultural, and civic activities are concentrated. It's a location where people can meet and talk and get together and celebrate. So there's one objective, and that objective is all around improving Buckhorn, as that's your sort of main commercial core in Trent Lakes. And there are 3 actions that are being suggested. The second goal is to be a 4-season tourism destination. And why is that important? You've got a great summertime tourism sector, but expanding those tourism offerings into the 4 seasons will provide improved economic sustainability over the full year and help to diversify and create new tourism business opportunities. And there's 2 objectives under the 4-season tourism, and that's becoming the year-round tourism destination and enhancing the visitor experience. And under that goal, there's 9 actions that have been determined. The third one is to develop a business-friendly municipality that supports existing business and is open to new business. So really, why is this important? It's really important to be business-friendly to help to attract new business and retain existing business. And under this goal, there's 3 objectives: to be being investment ready and business friendly, supporting local business, and addressing labor attraction and retention challenges. And under this goal, there's 15 actions. The next one is about building community through cohesiveness. And really collaboration brings people together and builds cohesiveness and opens up new channels for communication. Because you are such a large community and a large geographic area, that bringing people together across the community is really important. And within those objectives, there's 2 objectives: building partnerships to support business, and the second one is building community cohesiveness. And there's 11 actions under that goal. So just as next steps, so those are the 4 goals, the objectives and actions. The next steps are to present the draft strategic plan that I'm presenting to you today, to EDAC on October 17th. And then the next step is to complete the final strategic plan based on feedback from today and from the EDAC committee on October 17th. The next is to present the final strategic plan to council in January 2023. And then at that time, we will also, once that's approved, we'll develop an implementation plan. And the implementation plan is going to take each one of the actions and they will and develop sort of timelines, the lead, who's going to be the support, the financial implications. And once that's done, then it's completed. So the next thing is for your feedback on the strategy. And that's my presentation. So if you have any questions or feedback, or I'm here to discuss.
Thank you, Nancy. Council, please. Okay, I'll start.
Okay.
That's
Carol?
okay, go ahead, go ahead.
No, it's your hand, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, through that. After you. First of all, thank you very much for this, Nancy. I thought the situational analysis that you prepared was really well done. It was a very concise idea of where our strengths and our assets are and what we have to build on. So two comments. One, and I've shared this with Nancy, I was a little concerned looking at this, that for the actions that are identified, there really weren't any specific outcomes that we expected by taking those actions, and there weren't any success measures. So how would we know that we were successful in actually implementing those actions and achieving the outcomes we wanted? However, I did speak with Nancy, and that's the next stage. So that's what we will see once we get general agreement around the 4 goals and the various actions. So I wanted to put that out there in case anybody else had the same concerns or reservations. I guess the other comment is, I don't think there are any real surprises in here, but that's a good thing. It means that some of the work and efforts that have already been done were on target, but what we were lacking was a comprehensive and prioritized plan or roadmap, if you will, to move forward. And you mentioned it in passing, but I think it's important to bring it out, is that the end goal here is a stronger, more diversified and resilient community. And I think we all need to keep in mind that that's where we're headed. That's where these actions are intended to get us. So I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to talk. So thank you.
Okay, now I'll talk. When we were going through this process and doing the interviews, I took a little bit of exception to the fact that we are so-called an aging community. I think that's not necessarily true, and I think what bears that out is the public school. So the public school each year is growing in numbers, and right now the junior part of it is a way bigger than what it was even 3 or 4 years ago. So you don't get a growing junior school without having a growing young family. I think the tradespeople that are involved in this community that are assisting the not so young to stay in this community, whether it's in renovations, whether it's in gardening, whatever it happens to be, I think we have a transitional time here that we really should be looking at in terms of the fact that we are not stagnant. I think if you look at some of the other areas and the census and things that they're taking, we are one of the few that schools are growing. Our school is not in any kind of jeopardy, which is really quite unusual for a rural school. The children going to the high school, those numbers are growing exponentially. So I think we're not as, just to make just to sort of capitalize on that, I don't think we are as aging as what this plan paints us to be.
Thank you.
Why, do you agree?
Yeah. I just thought someone would
I'd just like a couple comments.
Mhm.
I do look at the demographics. I believe the numbers. I don't disbelieve the numbers. There are schools in this area that are growing, but I think on the most part, we're looking at a lot of people moving into our area that are 60 years old and plus. The cost of housing, it doesn't favor young families.
We got here somehow.
Another comment. I wish the workshops had been scheduled when 4 members of council weren't at a conference. I would have wanted to participate in it, but it was impossible to participate in it when you're driving back from Ottawa.
Okay, anybody else with comments? Or- All right, so can we, Nancy, do you want to comment on anything that you've heard or?
The only thing is about the aging, and I do agree with the counselor, is that the stats are showing that you are an aging community. And that's based on the stats that we've collected over the last 6 years. It sounds like it's changing, but you're still an aging community. So you're on the right track. You're getting more families here, but just the stats are the stats. That's what we're basing it on.
How do you gather those? Like, do statistics such as schools that show what the ages are and the growth? Does that not figure into these stats?
It's basically Stats Canada information and manifold information that we use. And so schools wouldn't necessarily be included as population and population growth. So we wouldn't be getting information on the schools, and like number of people in schools. That wouldn't come up. It's more population, who lives there, what the residents are. And maybe some of those people are coming from outside of, some of the kids that are coming into the schools are coming from outside of Trent Lakes.
Well, a lot of our population's coming from outside of the township too.
Maybe I can help with that a little bit. If you look at the census data in 2022 versus 2016, overall, our population has grown about 20% in that 5-year time frame. And what's happened, it's kind of bipolar. We've had about a 25% increase in the 0 to 14-year-olds, and we've had a 26% increase in the 60 plus. So yes, there absolutely is growth in that younger population. The middle two are only growing at about 12%. So you're right, we can see that above average growth in that youth population. But because we've got so many seniors in total,
It eats them up.
That's right. It's a much larger population and hasn't been offset yet by the younger people moving in.
Come on, young people.
I know. And our clocks are not going back. They're only going forward.
Okay, we've got this all straight.
Great. Receiver. Presentation.
Yes, you want to receive
Yeah,
the
yeah.
presentation? Okay, Deputy Mayor Window and
We're
Councilor
old.
Branson,
Okay.
all in
Yeah.
favor? Yes.
Can
did
I
you
just
want-
add to that? And
No, we've had enough.
No, on the motion, just on
Yeah.
the motion, that we receive it and we also authorize McSweeney to proceed with
Okay.
the next steps in their work.
Sure.
Plan.
Yeah.
All in favor? Motion is carried. Delegations, none. Staff reports, Public Works, none. Recreation Facilities, none. Fire and Emergency Services, none. Building and Planning, Sarah, Junior Planner, if you could speak to Bill 109 changes.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. There's a report on today's agenda from the planner concerning the Planning Act changes as a result of Bill 109. As noted in the previous report from the planner, the most significant change to the Planning Act requires municipalities to gradually refund application fees to applicants who do not receive a decision on their zoning bylaw amendment or site plan control applications within the legislated timelines. This applies to all applications made on or after January 1st of 2023. This could result in significant lost revenue to the municipality. Minor variance applications are not affected by these changes. The new county official plan, which is currently before the province for approval, includes the required policies to permit the municipality to prescribe complete application requirements for Planning Act applications through amendments to the municipality's pre-consultation and site plan control bylaws. However, there is a concern as to the timing of approval for the county official plan by the province and the necessary changes being in place by January 1st, 2023. Planning staff have been in discussion with the county and other lower tier municipalities to work through this process collectively. The other lower tier municipalities currently have a local component within existing county official plan, with Trent Lakes having its own official plan. As we are all trying to achieve the same policies in place for January 1st, 2023, planning staff considered it prudent to be included in the public meeting notice that the county will be preparing advertising for the official plan amendment. Advertising costs will be split amongst the participating lower tier municipalities, which will be a cost savings to the municipality of Trent Lakes. It is intended that the county will advertise the public meetings the last week of September, with Trent Lakes public meeting to be held on November 8th. Currently, there are no policies in the current Trent Lakes official plan which speak to complete application requirements, including pre-consultation. In order to satisfy the January 1st, 2023 deadline, staff intend to include the following policy, quote, local municipalities maintain the ability to prescribe complete application requirements for Planning Act applications for which they are the approval authority. Complete application requirements may include peer review of any studies or plans submitted in support of the application, end quote. The actual official plan amendment to be considered will be posted on the municipal website. In the meantime, planning staff will continue to work through the changes that would be required to the pre-consultation and site plan control bylaws to implement the new complete application requirements. It is anticipated a further report will be presented to Council in November, subsequent to the public meeting, to provide the proposed amendment bylaws for consideration. If Council agrees with the conclusions of the report, it is recommended that Council receives the report from the planner with respect to Bill 109, amendments to the Planning Act related to timelines for the refund fees for certain planning applications, and further that Council direct staff to initiate an official plan amendment that would provide the municipality with the ability to prescribe complete application requirements for Planning Act applications through amendments to the municipality's pre-consultation and site plan control bylaws. Thank you.
Ooh, that was a mouthful. Do we have comments? Sarah, is there what kind of efforts are being made to streamline the process between ourselves and the county to see if some of the work can't be done here without having to go to the county? Because if that duplication, and maybe I'm naive, but it seems to me that a lot of what goes to the county gets rubber stamped and gets sent back, which is certainly a time frame. So with these things changing and these timelines being tightened like this, is that not one of the areas that is going to have to change in order to make this even remotely possible?
Through you, Madam Mayor. The report attached to today's agenda is to get on board with the county's advertising for the official plan amendment to their current legislation. We're trying to jump on this notice as a cost-saving portion.
Okay, but beside that, in terms of streamlining or expediting some of these things, is there any work being done between the lower tiers and the county to take out some of the steps that may be duplication?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's Barb speaking. Part of the process of becoming part of the county OP is going to streamline a lot of that. The applications will be going directly to the county. The county will be dealing with them. A lot of that is going to be streamlined just by us joining the county OP. That was one of the main initiatives of us joining the county OP. The other part of it is that by implementing what we require as a complete application, that is going to streamline things. As you know, what holds things up right now is not necessarily the county, it's also other agencies getting back to us. So by asking for that information at the front end of the application, instead of taking an application in, reviewing it, and then sending the people away to gather more material, that's going to help streamline everything.
So there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
There is, but there has to be some, both sides, everybody that's involved in the application has to take ownership that if they want to go forward with the planning application, then they need to gather the correct material for us to make proper decisions on applications. They need to engage professional people to assist them through the process, because the planning process is not simple. It is a little bit complicated, and planning documents can be really complicated to read and understand if you don't deal with them on a daily basis. So there has to be also some, give and take on both sides of the table. The applicants have to be willing to engage the correct people to assist them through the process. And then at the front end, they need to provide us with the information instead of midpoint or at the end of it, which is where things get held up.
Anybody else with a comment?
One quick comment. I'm just a little concerned that we're going to ask for everything right at the beginning, whether we need it or not. I don't know how we dictate what we're asking for in an application. Like if we have a list of 45 things and we ask for 45 things every time, that's going to just completely be a detriment to any applications being received. If we only, sorry, go ahead.
Through you, Councillor Lamson, I think that, we're going to be consistent with the other municipalities in the county, because almost all of us are part of the county plan. But as well, we're going to go through different scenarios, have a clear understanding of really what is the intent of why we need things. But the wild card in it is every property is different. Every property has different environmental issues. So there's no clean list of this applies to a variance and this applies to a rezoning. It really comes down to kind of what is happening on that property. And that's what makes it challenging even today.
That's kind of my follow-up question is, we need to know what we're going to be asking for before we get too far into the process of, like, I don't know if it's a site visit or you get someone that's a professional in doing that to prepare your application. But I think that's important. People should know that in advance. And I think that's what this will ultimately do.
So through you, Councillor Lamson, as an example, one of the items that we feel should be coming at the front end would be if you are in an area that's regulated by the Kawartha Conservation Area. I mean, that's really pertinent information for us when we're dealing with a planning application. So that is one of the documents that we would be recommending that be produced to us, or at least some comment from the agency to say if they're in support of the application or not, because that's a really simplistic example of where things can get hung up, because they could set up a pre-consult with Sarah, go through everything, and we say, okay, you need this, this, and this, and you need to go speak to the Kawartha Region Conservation, and then they say, oh, no, we're not even going to consider this. So by going to them first, they're either going to get bad news or good news, but at least they know what that news is at the front end of it, not in the mid point of it.
Thank you.
Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, thank you, through Madam Mayor. It's a logistics question, Barb. I see that staff is going to, I'll read, continue to work through the changes that would be required to the pre-consultation and site plan control bylaws, and anticipated a further report will be presented to council in November. So my question is, will that be to this council or to the new council? I think this council's last meeting is November the 8th, and then the new council is November 22nd. And as you can tell, there's clearly some interest because we all would like to support changes to the process that, make it easier and more self-evident for applicants.
Mhm.
Well, what I can do, Adele's actually on holidays for 2 weeks, but I can encourage a report to come to the November 8th meeting, as this is the council that has been dealing with this issue all the way along. So I can see if I can make that work.
Thank you. I think that would be helpful both for you and for us.
Well,
So thank you.
it'd be nice to see it tied up and not dropped into new hands or whatever.
Receiver.
Okay, so we need a motion then to accept this and to move forward with the recommendations.
Sure.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Landover, Councillor Franzen, all in favor?
Yep.
Motion is carried. Finance, Donna. Accounts payable.
Thank you, and through you. Accounts payable for the month of August for council's information.
Okay, motion please. Councillor Lambshead and Councillor Franzen, unless there's comment. Everybody wants to get paid. All in favor? Motion is carried. Administration, Bianca. Volunteer,
Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Through you. Attached to my report is the final version of the volunteer policy. In August, council had approved the draft policy in principle, and after meeting with many of the volunteers and reviewing the policy with them, staff had made some final changes and edits to this policy. Staff also provided a copy to the insurers, and they provided minor changes and feedback. The only other change that's not seen in this document is the removal of mandatory in section 4, which is the scope. It's just for the current volunteers. It just reads a little bit better. Further, staff noted that there would be minimal financial impacts for implementation and do not foresee at this time that the cost will exceed $50,000. Staff recognize that volunteers are important to Trent Lakes and are an integral part of the community. The intent of this policy is to protect the volunteers and the municipality from risk. Further, this policy is intended to outline the roles and responsibilities and provide guidelines for new volunteers to provide a safe environment for the volunteers as well as those attending events and using the locations. And with that, staff are recommending the approval of this policy. Thank you.
Thank you for the work. I would like to see what council's got to say about this.
Did you ask the board of directors of the community centers and stuff what they thought of this?
Yeah, we did send an email out to the 3 halls, and we did meet with 2 out of the 3, Cavendish being the one we did not have a meeting with, but we didn't receive any further comments from them.
You did connect with like not just the community centers, but other things? There are like the rinks and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we did have a meeting with Galway Hall as well as Lakehurst Hall volunteers, and we don't have open space volunteers at this stage, so that we wouldn't have anybody to meet with. And then in terms of the rink, we haven't had any activity at the rink for the last few years. But the intention with this policy is to work with the volunteers as it's implemented to work out the process and make sure it works with them as well. So our intent is to keep moving through this with them, not just to manage it.
Well, if this is passed, that pretty well, there's no way of changing it, is there?
Through you, the
I want to
policy.
say it's passed, I'm saying, without talking to them first. But that, I would comments from people that belong to boards and they did not have any hearing on this. So I don't know.
Councillor Branson.
I just have a question. Is there any way that we could review this policy in 3 to 6 months if it passes today to see the impact that it has on our volunteer basis and make any changes that would be necessary?
So you're talking about what do you call it?
Well, when we implement it, to see how it works in 3 months from now and get comments back from our volunteer base to see how this is working with them. If it's too onerous, then we would have to look at reviewing this policy.
Councillor Armstrong.
I think that's an excellent idea. I would probably make it 6 months.
Yeah.
And in support of that, I would make the motion that we receive the report, that we approve the volunteer policy with a 6-month review to ensure that it is meeting the needs and the objectives that it was originally intended to do.
Go ahead.
I was just going to second that motion.
Okay. So we'll hold off in your seconding till everybody's had a chance to comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, this policy is very onerous on a new volunteer. The existing volunteers we're supporting reasonably, but a new volunteer is going to have to do some soul searching before they're going to volunteer. And we don't want to lose volunteers as we already are going to lose some of our existing volunteers. And we know that. It's just we need to support getting more new volunteers into this municipality because it is very important to run many of our programs that are done with solely volunteer. I think reviewing this in a few months is a good idea.
I guess my comment is if somebody gave me that as a new volunteer, I'd run a mile. I think a lot of the initiatives are in there probably okay, but I think the language, I think the whole thing could be brought down to a page or two. It's too much. So that time frame is probably a really good, it's a good safety net. And let people actually, and in the meantime, encourage people that if they do find it, not to walk away yet until we've been given a chance to see just what the impact is going to be.
Yeah.
Because once they walk, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
Why don't we let them review this without passing the policy?
Insurance.
Sorry. Is that your feeling, Donna? Is that the reason to do this now would be insurance instead of holding off? Or
So thank you, and through you. Just a reminder, this policy has come before to council. It has been distributed broadly to get as much feedback as possible. And it is something, and I believe our insurer spoke to that at a recent presentation to council, that we have to have this in place. It is something that protects the volunteer as well as the municipality. But there is obviously a commitment from staff that we're going to make this process as seamless as possible. So these are the specs contained in the policy, absolutely, but the application and the implementation process will be streamlined. We had some very good discussions. Bianca and I both attended meetings with the hall board individuals and definitely took their feedback in, and we're committed to making this as easy as possible in recognition of the importance of volunteers.
so having said that, or having heard that, I think the 6-month trial with the caveat on it that nobody will be asked to leave at this point. And see what happens in 6 months. I don't think the average volunteer is even at this point has even looked at that, because I'm a volunteer. What does it mean to me? So
So thank you, and through you. Just to clarify that there is no intention, existing volunteers do not have to, for instance, undertake the training. We did get some feedback that some would like to potentially, but the existing volunteers would be grandfathered into this. But there is we're hoping to make sure that we touch base with those individuals in the future, should there be additional requirements, so they are involved in that, but existing volunteers are not impacted. And there is a commitment under this policy to reimburse the insurance costs for the halls. As we know, we found out they were not covered through the municipality's insurance a few years ago. So there is a commitment to that as well, which is beneficial to those, because I know they fundraise for that type of thing, which unfortunately.
So if volunteers, I'm going to say probably active, probably 100, 150, probably on the books, probably closer to 300, give or take. So if that many people right off the bat are grandfathered.
Yes, so thank you, and
So
through you. That is
what's
the message. That is the message. It's for volunteers going forward, because it protects those individuals coming in. We recognize there's people that have been doing roles for many years now. We want to make sure that people coming in are protected. And we've even, because there was some feedback obtained that we could have the one-off type volunteer for a strawberry supper, for instance, that type of event, that there just would be something to sign. They would not have to do this. So once again, our commitment is to make this as easy as possible. We can certainly come back in 6 months. We don't believe, there's going to be a lot involved in this at first. We don't, because all the volunteers are grandfathered. It's just the new ones coming in. So we're in the process of having an open space plan, that type of work. Once that's completed, then we'll look if there are trail volunteers, those types of individuals, but we will make it as easy as possible.
Okay, so we've got the 6 month on place. We've got a seconder for that. So I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor? Yep, I think that's carried. Okay, I sympathize with the work everybody's done and what they have to do. I just hope that it doesn't turn out to be counterproductive in terms of numbers of people coming in.
Me either.
But as I say, 6 months will be a good window to sense that.
Yeah.
So corporate services, and Ruth, county council expenses.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Clarkson, to Council. This report brings forward Council expenses for the month of August for Council's consideration and approval. Thank you.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve is presented.
Okay, that's Councillor Lambshead, seconded by Deputy Mayor Minter. All in favor? Motion is carried. Unopened road allowance purchase application for Hannah. Jesse?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Clarkson. Patty Hanna is requesting to purchase the unopened road allowance adjacent to their property, which is approximately 400 meters. Their intention is to purchase the road allowance to add to the vacant property to the south of the property known municipally as 3989 County Road 507, as the existing driveway is on the road allowance and would provide privacy and access to their property. The sale of this unopened road allowance would be in accordance with the policy, as the road allowance does not provide an existing or potential public access to a lake by leading to the water's edge, and the current unopened road allowance is not necessary to accommodate future transportation needs or for any other municipal purposes, as confirmed with consultations with the senior management team in the County of Peterborough. The recommendation is that Council receive the report, support the application to purchase the unopened road allowance received from Patty Hanna, and that Council direct staff to proceed with the application process and advise the applicant they will be responsible for all costs.
You, Deputy Mayor Winter,
Yes.
you want to make
Make
the motion? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Lambshead? All in favor? Any, unless there's comment? No. No comment. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Correspondence for information. Anybody want to pull anything out of this?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
The letter that we received from Pirates Glen and Alpine Village. I'd like to know from our road superintendent if he can, it doesn't have to be done today, but the recommendation in there to stop heavy trucks on our residential roads, if that has any merit. And I'd also like that letter to be sent to our solicitor because he is mentioned in the letter. So If he feels that he has to respond, he can respond.
Okay,
Was that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
do we have a seconder to that motion?
I'm not really sure what the motion's intent is.
I guess we'll be in agreement with the letter to restrict the heavy.
No, I just want to know if that, that suggestion would have any merit. I'd like our road superintendent or superintendent of public works to report back whether that motion has any merit, or that idea has any merit of restricting heavy trucks in there, and what the pitfalls are if we would pass such a restriction.
So then you've got a request of roads to talk about the feasibility of doing that.
Yeah, the
But it
feasibility.
would need to be put in a motion, would it not? In order to get it looked at?
Yeah, through you, I would suggest Councillor Franzen's motion maybe to direct staff, specifically the Director of Public Works, to report back on the feasibility of stopping heavy trucks on residential roads, and further that council direct staff to send a copy of the letter to our solicitor.
Perfect.
Yep.
Is there a seconder to that?
I'd just like to know what you mean by heavy trucks. You mean like, you mean you can take a load of gravel up to a lot? That's a heavy truck.
According to the
sense to me.
letter, there would be exceptions.
Okay, that's, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you that, you know,
Yeah,
can't just say heavy trucks.
yeah, and I don't know if it's enforceable. I just want comment from our superintendent of public works.
Like, why would trucks go down there if they're not going there for business? Because it's not a through road. There's nowhere for them to go.
Well, they're driving through a residential area.
No, but the only reason that.
Yeah, it's because of the quarry.
Pardon?
It's because of the quarry.
That's a dead end in down there, so why have they go
Yeah.
down there?
Well, they go down there to get a load of gravel and then come back out the same route. On a residential. No, they're talking about the Doodley Mountain Quarry.
Oh, you mean the ledge road you're talking about?
Yeah.
The quarry road?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's,
I thought
I thought going down, I thought you meant going in Alpine.
I thought you said Alpine and Pirates Glen.
No, the report was written by Ted Oakes on behalf of that.
Okay. That's a whole different ballgame. Councillor Armstrong.
Yeah, thank you, through Madam Mayor. I think it's an interesting question and initiative to be considered. My problem is tying it to the Duty Mountain and Ledge Road.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't support that motion in response to the letter that came forward. I certainly think that should be forwarded to our solicitor, if it hasn't been already. But the question about heavy trucks on residential roads, I think we need to separate that issue. And I don't know that this is the place or time to raise that.
I gotta excuse myself.
Okay. Yeah. Ron has a doctor's appointment, so he's out of here.
Okay.
Goodbye, chicken.
Yeah.
I'll withdraw the first portion of my motion.
Okay.
And just have it directed to our solicitor.
Okay, so we're going to direct number 11.4 to the solicitor for comment.
Yes.
Okay. Seconder for that motion? Councillor Lamzat?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Everybody else is okay, so we need a motion then to receive the rest of this information. Okay, Councillor Lamzat and Councillor Armstrong, all in favor, motion has carried. Correspondence for action, Royal Canadian Legion, Ontario Command advertising request. Support from Councillor Franzen. Okay, Councillor Lamzat, all in favor, motion is carried. Town of Kingsville, Town of Osage Beach, Strong Mayors Building Homes, action. Motion, Councillor Armstrong.
Motion to receive.
Okay.
I'd just like to make a comment. I don't have a problem receiving it, but I'm certainly opposed to strong mayors. I think that you have 5 members of council for a reason.
Okay,
I will second that motion.
all in favor? Motion is carried. Bylaws, none. What else we've got in here? Business arising, none. Yeah.
2 things under business arising. There are 2 important issues that have been deferred, and I just wanted to get an update on when we would see them in front of council again. One is obviously the duty application, and we're waiting on the consultant's report. And the second one is the response to concerns that council raised about the new public works depot. So if it's possible to give us a date as to when we will see those again, that would be much appreciated.
Yes.
Thank you, and through you. Both of those are set to come back to the October 4th council meeting.
Okay. All right,
Excellent, thank you.
perfect. Notices of motion, I don't see any. Information items, liaison reports for external boards. Council, yes.
Thank you. To you, Madam Mayor, if this is out of order, let me know. I saw 3 items coming up on the county council agenda. Is that tomorrow?
Yep.
And I just wanted to table them. I'm not sure how it's going to be addressed. One was the transportation master plan. And obviously things like 507 have been included in those before, and we ended up with what we ended up with. So I'm hoping that our representatives will take a look at that to ensure there's nothing in there that negatively impacts Trent Lakes. The other one was the letter from Oak Orchards requesting that the development charges they pay are those that were in place at the time their application came forward before we put the hold on their building. We here at Trent Lakes allowed that to go forward and said that was reasonable, it was the right thing to do. I'm hoping that our representatives at county will remind them of that decision and support it. And the third one was just a comment that the Ministry of, what's MMH? Municipal Affairs and Housing, got it, are suspending their 90-day timeline for approving the official plan. So it would be helpful to know if we have any kind of idea how long it will take, because we're just waiting to shift over from our municipal plan to the county one.
Okay,
Just a little bit further to that information is I think the County Road 507 motion that this municipality supported to have a look at the
surface.
well, the surface and the amount of traffic and all. They did the study in the middle of the COVID pandemic with the lockdown in place. So obviously the numbers are not going to be the same as they are today. So I think there was a request in there to have them look at that again. I think that's something that our mayor and deputy mayor should speak to when that item is on the agenda at the county council.
Okay, so the request then is to restudy. Now the traffic is back to normal.
Yeah,
I think it's in the motion that they're going to, that's on the agenda for county council. I think it details all of that.
Very much so. Because we need to have that looked at. I hope we can do that through the county representatives. I think that's a good opportunity.
Okay, so that was one, because I'm going to put these down just to, the other two were.
Oak Orchards and the request to revert to the 2021 development charges. And the other one was the transportation master plan. If there are any things hidden in there that would have a negative impact on Trent Lakes. And thirdly, if we could try and get some better idea from the ministry when they will be approving our official plan, the new county/municipal official plan.
Okay, now we need to go into a closed meeting to discuss advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Anyone that is listening or viewing the electronic meeting may remain on the line for when council rises from closed session. We need a motion to go into close, please. Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Franson, all in favor? Motion has carried.
Move the motion. Carol seconded.
I will make a motion to rise from close.
Yep,
Second?
seconded. All in favor? Carried. Business arising from a closed meeting. Adoption of minutes regular closed meeting September 6th, 2022. Carol,
I'll make that motion.
Terry, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of confirming bylaw. Confirming bylaw, got a motion to approve?
I'll
Carol,
make that motion.
Terry? All in favor? Carried. Adjournment. Terry? Carol? All in favor? Carried.